Hi, today I have a message called Walking With, so here's the short version. Thinking well of your separate self is the tarp under which you hide thinking fearful and hateful things about your separate self. Whoever you're walking with today, think of Spirit or Jesus walking with you and being in charge. Think of the being you both are being in charge. The being you both are is the sanity you share. One quiet moment with willingness to allow the sanity you both are to be in charge. This reveals the sanity. You can come to see your shared sanity as a friend upon whom you can rely in every circumstance. Okay, so if the short one was enough for you, class dismissed. And if not, here we delve into it. Okay, thinking well of your separate self is the tarp under which you hide thinking fearful and hateful things about your separate self. And especially good things too, that would make you gooder than another separate self. But we'll focus on the part I got here. So, right. That was the whole point of it. I'm thinking well is the tarp, and then underneath it's always some kind of fear or hate. I lost the first part of that sentence, focusing on the second. All right, so let's just take a look here. We're hiding things, and whenever we don't feel good, we're definitely hiding. If we're projecting fear outward and then seeing a surface outward that gives us cause for concern or irritation or boredom or fatigue or anything like that, I'm taking this loathing. I just watched Wicked for the second time, and there's a song featuring the word loathing, so that has been in my mind. I'm taking loathing of this separate self, which is kind of the ego's fuel. It might be covered over with a lace doily of, I love you, I love myself, I have self-love, or I especially like you, or you're likable, or, I think you're wonderful. And underneath that, if I think a person's wonderful, is my own fear about this separate self I think I am. It's my own fear about this separate self I think the other is. And it's not just fear, it's hate. I mean, they're really the same thing, and ultimately they're both nothing, but they seem very big, and our feelings tell us how big we think they are, how powerful we think they are, and we can feel that every day as we walk through our day. So this is still something I'm seeing, like what I thought was loving was this doily, this lace covering, this pretty thing covering up the fear that's there. But it's okay, because underneath the fake love and the fear, which are both nothing, is love. And love can't change, and love can't go anywhere, and love has always been here, and love has always connected everyone, and there's nothing more powerful than love, and everyone is love. So all the good news is underneath both things. Under the tarp of positivity, under the ugliness you find underneath it, under that is something that nothing can oppose. True beauty that has no real ugliness to oppose it. And it's a wonderful thing to see and to be into reliance. So it's okay that the love of the ego is just this fakery and never was real. It's okay that under the love of the ego is this horrendous ugliness. All of that's okay, because what's really here, the two things on top I'm talking about, are illusions, and what's underneath is real. Okay, so thinking well of your separate self, we don't have to do it. Isn't that nice? You don't have to have self-esteem. You don't have to have self-love, not for a separate self, not for anybody's separate self. You don't have to, you're so free. You're so free. You don't have to try to be a good person, because as a being, you are good. Now, that being said, if you feel the disturbance of being tempted toward actions that seem to harm those you call others, you need to take responsibility for your disturbance and address it in order to be happy. All of us do. But where was I going with this? The freedom of not having to love selves that don't exist, or to feel the inadequacy of understanding that you don't think you do love these separate selves. And maybe, in fact, you feel the opposite about them. Both of those things are fake. You don't hate anybody. You're not a separate self that does hate. You're not a separate self that does fear, although the illusion is very convincing. We can attach to thinking, and our fear, our experience of fear, is the alert that we have attached to this thinking that the selves are separate. So there's a huge relief in understanding, like, there can't be a separate jerk. I'm sorry, but there can't be. There's just the being underneath all the illusions of separate selves. There's just the being. And fortunately, the being is perfect, and it can't be anything but that. So that applies to all of us, because we're all this being. Okay, do I have anything else to say there? I think that's good enough. All right, whoever you're walking with today, think of Spirit or Jesus or whatever non-physical show up for you. We have a variety of experiences as we become willing to heal. But think of them, whoever they are, walking with you and being in charge. Because in these moments when we feel distressed, we're attached to an idea of our separate self, and we're thinking that's real, that we are this separate self. So we need somebody to come in who's a representative of our shared being, to point to that shared being and to lead us and to guide us. And it's really, they aren't the personality they appear to be. If they appear to you in any way as a personality, they're just a guiding presence. They're just what we all are together, but they're appearing in the form that's going to be helpful to you. And if they seem more formless than anything, you just receive ideas, and those ideas are helpful, then that's what's appropriate for you. And one is not better or worse than another. Somehow, Spirit, being what we are, communicates with you when you reach out in willingness, and it really doesn't matter how that happens. Think of the being you both are being in charge. So let's say I have a problem with someone. My separate self, I'm identifying with it as that separate self. And that entity seems to have a problem with another separate self. It's finding a deficiency. It's wishing that other separate self were different in some way. But if I think of, well, what is the being both of us are? And could I put that being in charge of this experience? Yes, I definitely can. Remembering to do that is the challenge, because we're used to not doing that. we're used to thinking of ourselves as separate. We're used to being defensive. We're used to trying to get things for our separate self. We're used to all of that. But we can stop and think of the being we both are as being in charge. So whoever you're walking with today, think of Spirit or Jesus walking with you and being in charge. Think of the being you both are being in charge. So who's in charge? It's you. It's what you actually are. But it's what you actually are with everyone. That's what you put in charge. And you're part of that. You're part of this being. So you're putting what you actually are in charge, not what you fake are in charge. And when I feel a sense of struggle, I have put what I fake am in charge. What percentage of the time is that going to work? 0. It's a 0. It's going to work 0% of the time. Now, you might see a situation working out for your ego, for your separate self, in the sense that you get what you want, but that doesn't mean it works out in a way that benefits everyone. And we don't have to judge, like, who did this situation benefit? I'm going to decide if it benefited one or benefited all. No, we're not here to analyze or interpret. We're here to pay attention to how we feel, and when we feel off, we've attached to the guidance of our fake separate self, and we just need to reset. That's all. And it's a very simple reset, so we're all capable of that. The being you both are is the sanity you share. So if I'm with someone and I experience irritation, even if I think of someone and I experience resistance or irritation, I experienced this tonight. It was somebody I was thinking of. But now I can look at it, and the being we both are is the sanity we share. So instead of thinking of this guy in terms of interpretation or analysis, I'm going to see him as a separate self, and then I'm going to declare what's wrong with his separate self. I might declare how he should act toward me instead of how I perceived him acting toward me. This is what he should do, right? Okay. But if I remember, there's a being that both of us are, and that being is sanity. Not sanity versus insanity played out in a world of illusion. No, actual, real sanity. So, if I put the sanity that both of us share in charge of us, in any interaction we might have or any thought we might have, that's the smart thing to do. Do I want my life to feel consistently sane? Do I want my experience to feel consistently sane? Or do I want my experience to feel consistently insane? When I feel even the tiniest disturbance, there's something in me that wants my experience to be run by the illusion, it can only ever be an illusion, of insanity. And when I see this, even the tiniest little whiff of feeling troubled means I need to reset, and I need to reset now. So I start putting the priority on resetting. Okay, one quiet moment with willingness to allow the sanity you both are to be in charge. This reveals the sanity. So my ego might say, I want to see and do and accomplish and get many different things today. It has a whole list of things that need to happen and things that need to go my way and outcomes I need to avoid, right? But maybe instead I could allow our shared sanity to be revealed to me. That's another choice. So instead of deciding what needs to happen, and if I'm thinking of this in the context of another person, this is what this person should be doing, and this is what they aren't doing that they should be doing, I could instead remember that I'm willing to allow the sanity we share to be revealed to me. So sanity isn't something I have and he doesn't. Or if I'm going to think poorly of myself, he has and I don't have. Sanity can only be shared. And not just with two beings, with all beings. A being is by definition sane. Our beingness is sane. So if I put that in charge of any thought I receive about this person, I've blessed him. I put sanity in charge of our apparent interaction. And if I bless him, I bless myself. If I bless myself, I bless everybody and everything. And that's the setting always available to us. And that is the setting I can turn back to again and again when I notice that I've left it. How do I know I've left it? I don't feel good. It's always very simple. So one quiet moment. It's okay to stop activity. It's okay to stop talking. It's okay to stop this message, which I'm going to do shortly, I think. One quiet moment is very powerful if we focus on our willingness to allow the sanity all of us are. Doesn't matter what anyone's surface is. I'm talking about beyond any fear we're projecting on what look like people but are really beings. They're really beings. They look like people. That's the projection. Okay? but they're beings. And if we can always find willingness in our hearts to be happy. Well, happiness is allowing the sanity all of us are to be in charge. One quiet moment is very powerful, to rest in willingness to have the sanity shining behind everyone and everything to be revealed to all of us. That's a very powerful moment. Ego's thoughts don't seem so attractive when we know we have access to thoughts from spirit. They're very powerful. And they're beneficial to all. They aren't just beneficial to one. They reach out in love to everyone and everything. And they're equal in that way. They bless everything. You can come to see your shared sanity as a friend upon whom you can rely in every circumstance. So if someone around you, let's say you're listening to a YouTube video, and someone starts talking about how someone or something is crazy, it's okay to pause that. And because if we get wrapped up in this story, then we've lost a sight of the sanity we share with everybody. We've gotten caught up in the illusion of insanity, and we do that many times a day. How do we know? Because we don't feel good. If we're honest with ourselves, if we're feeling anything less than full joy and peace, we are caught up in the insanity. We are listening to and believing insane thoughts. It's okay to be brutally honest because that's how we heal. We have to watch our own thoughts, not analyze those of others. We have to watch our own thoughts and be willing to see the sanity that's alive and always present in every being. It's our willingness to allow those beams of sanity to shine forth that brings it into our experience. So our shared sanity is a friend. It's always here. We can rely on it in every circumstance. And the ego is going to come in and say, what about this? What about that? What about the other? We can stop right in the middle of all of ego's what-abouts, because how do you feel when ego says, what about this? What about that? What about the other? What does that feel like? Are you trying to pave or map a future in which ego gets to prove that insanity and insane actions and experiences are true and real? More true and real than the being we share? More true and real than the love that we are? You can always pause in a very powerful moment of willingness to see the sanity, to experience it, to have it be revealed. And as I say these words, they're just coming through me, because my experience would be more one of hearing the ego say, what about this? What about that? What about the other? And falling for that temptation and pausing and hesitating, right? So this is definitely for me, so I can see, look, you have a very, very powerful moment available to you at any time, and it's perfectly safe to rest in that moment. And I have the outline of the next message. I got that this morning, so I know what direction the next message is heading, and it follows very directly from this one. So yeah, we're going to get a lot of support in remembering the opportunity for the very powerful quiet moment we can have, where we just return to our willingness and remember we're willing to allow sanity to be revealed. Ego's going to judge everything we projected out in fear and say, how could sanity be revealed to you when it's clearly not here, not here, and not here? Because I projected the illusion of insanity out upon everyone and everything. But light can shine through that, and it's just, am I willing to allow that? Am I willing to allow that now? Okay, I think that's it. I'm going to rest in willingness as much as I can, and happy healing.